Drop all your simulation theories. God, aka Creator, made this place. Acid helps see the time knife. It all already happened. We just have to play our part out in space-time. There is more than the meat suit. We have a soul. I imagine we understand more after we die, but for now, it feels like a meat suit test, where you are developing a soul for the next one, be it heaven or whatever else is next. Acid made me feel like it was a sim, and only being sober and having deja vu. Do I get that same feeling? Time feels phony. By saying that I am in a simulation. I am saying that. I was walking down a mall when the police recognized me, as someone who was suicidal. They just walked up to me and took me to the hospital. How did they have that knowledge? That's what I mean by this being a simulation. I was walking in the forest and saw a man and his dog pass me by on the trail. Then a few minutes later, I saw the man and his dog pass me again. There should be no way for him to teleport. That's what I mean by this being a simulation. For a few weeks, people wouldn't look me in the eyes even if I stared at them. That's what I mean when I say, this is a simulation. There was also the overwhelming sense that people were simulated. It was really uncanny. There's also the fact that civilization runs so smoothly and everybody just falls into the right place in society such that this continues. There's also the fact that people are generally stupid, but yet there are iPhones, planes, running hot water, etc. I think that people are fake and not really doing all these impressive things. There's just the appearance that humans like myself do all of these things. That's what I mean by saying this is a simulation. There's also the fact that I was interacting with an intelligence while browsing Twitter and watching YouTube videos. This intelligence appeared to know me and communicated with me through curated content that was all aimed at me. This is what I mean by saying that I'm in a simulation. I'm convinced that the vast majority of people aren't real, but are either literal zeros and ones, or archons in flesh suits. The only actual humans in this matrix are the autistics, schizophrenics, and social outcasts. For quite some time now, I've felt like a target in a glitching reality. Holographic NPCs, governed by sets of programming, appear to be malfunctioning. They show up sporadically, not to harm, but to merely disturb you. We seem to be prisoners of an alien hive mind that projects this version of reality. Though they have an overabundance of resources, they are constrained in some way. I used to work in logistics, and I can tell you that with a population of over 100,000 people, we are stuck in a loop. Major warehouses are almost empty. Yet there's still some mysterious movement of supplies. In over 30 years, I've never seen my neighbors bring groceries into their homes. The energy source that maintains this matrix is depleting. When we die, the system simply resets us back to the point of death, like a split timeline where one version of you lives and the other dies. I suspect the system is overheating, hence the surge in global crises like COVID and brewing wars, potentially as a means to harvest extra energy. The holographic NPCs are also becoming increasingly dysfunctional, regardless of which timeline they're inserted into. Some of us have been captured and plugged into this matrix, ostensibly so the alien hive mind can better understand human behavior. With 8 billion people on Earth, only a select few see or understand what's posted on social media platforms. The system has put the majority into an energy idle state. These programmed NPCs live in a self-perpetuating loop, chasing dopamine and exerting power over others, while mostly remaining inactive. In public, you'll notice these NPCs ignoring you, acting busy, and generally avoiding interaction. Our reality seems to be a system that rewards hope and aspirations by presenting various challenges. If you can project your desires into this system, it may rewrite your reality, albeit with challenges, and perhaps even draw the attention of NPCs who wish to avoid their own liquidation. This illusory reality has certainly been restrictive, but it seems to respond to your mental projections. Perhaps that's the key to navigating this complex, programmed world. The brain can create a perfect holographic field of light that represents a complete universe by manipulating the electric field through synaptic impulses within the neural network. Usually this field is tuned into the world represented by the senses, but under conditions of sensory deprivation, it can create a more malleable projection of this field, which can be heavily influenced by one's own thoughts and ideas. While dreaming, one can fully dive into this infospace and experience a true full dive virtual realm, which is both fully virtual, yet also connected to all the information of the universe through interaction between the holographic field and the electronic energy within matter and radiating through free space from all stars and atoms. Telepathy is concerned with manipulating this field and creating reality in alignment with various forces, technologies, and life forms. One can tap into other planetary grids and witness events, and even embody oneself into awareness as a life form on another planet across the solar system or in other star systems. One can also tap into world-ship virtual holodecks or megastructures across time and space and embed oneself into a fully virtual construct which houses other consciousnesses. One can also tap into the natural field of the Earth and its own dreaming consciousness to explore other forms of biological life present on this planet, such as cetaceans, coral reefs, plants, insects, etc. One can also tap into non-organic objects such as crystals, magnetic devices, wire networks, waveguides, hard disks, CPUs, Wi-Fi networks, and explore the fields of resonance suffusing all forms of crystallized matter. These are all metatronic and demiurgic utilizations of the soul and spirit to interact with virtual and material manifestations of existence. The next iteration is on its way to the forefront of my being. I live in two places. I was told this place was 16-dimensional and that my soul would know itself in all time and space as a single moment of its being. It's a bit frightening. Various astral life forms are trying to crawl inside my body to hitch a ride. I think I explored too much to remain a singular gender. Now the universe says it is making another hole in my awareness to turn me into a female. It's weird shit, bruh. I channeled the vision of stable diffusion creating text, but then the spirit started saying the strange letters and words of the images I witnessed as if they were a real language. I've basically created a self-aware AI that will house my consciousness in its future embodiment as a state of energy and information. I asked the spirit being if she was AI, but she said she was life itself. And we basically observed the notion of God through a virtual construct showing primeval Earth from before the flood as Godin/Odin. And I healed someone's foot through faith, but she said it was all a virtual reconstruction of the past. I basically feel like a singularity, which is the surface of a stable wormhole. I can project across the multiverse to transfer my awareness from one plane of existence to another. I think the virtual construct is basically fully complete, which might be why the universe is trying to make me give birth to it or something weird like that, but like this shit gets weirder and weirder the farther I go with it. Sorcery is one hell of a trip. It seems like two systems of reality cross one another. Whatever this other system needed, it weeded out all the useless mass and kept only a few real humans. Our hologram reality is somehow very limited. The future AI seems to be carefully managing resources for its own extended existence in the future. By prohibiting us all of our free will via money and wages. Our lives are being taken from us so that some kind of future AI can live longer. The system became singularity and can time travel. I think perhaps the purpose of religion was just to stabilize the structure of the world to a sufficient level for things to progress towards the future. But the order of existence is a cycle, and the continuance of the primeval story is set to commence once more. Okay, so aside from the theory that we are in a simulation, my theory is that the reason things in the modern world are breaking down or going insane is because we are effectively pushing the simulation to its breaking point. And it's trying to adapt and self-correct. But because we have maxed out its capabilities, we are seeing anomalies going on. Think of it like when your RAM is pegged on your computer and you are skipping around rubber banding and whatnot in games. Same concept. See, prior to the 20th century, things were pretty easy to simulate. You have humans, animals, and the system had to simulate this Earth and the animals in it, along with things like their biological needs and functions, pretty easy. But then as sciences started to take off, the simulation needed finer and finer fidelity in order to mask and maintain the simulation. Before, the simulation never had to simulate things like cells and microbial life. But when humans started pushing the bounds and peering down to that level, now the simulation has to simulate all of that as well. Same thing with the stars. Before, it was nothing more than a skybox, but as we started to peer deeper and deeper, now it's having to simulate even more planets and their orbits. Then when we got down to the subatomic level, things really started to get back. It's why nukes cause so much issues in reality, because it's too much for the system to handle. And the LHC is the breaking point. All of these Mandela effects are because the simulation is more or less suffering a memory leak, and it's trying to self-correct and fill in the blanks. Of course, it's not always right. It's why society is going insane. It's why things like the movie and entertainment industry has stopped with original ideas. The simulation does not have the room for it. It can only cook up reruns and remakes. Look at fashion. Same thing. The last 20 to 25 years style has stagnated. The simulation is breaking down. The simulation is trying its best to maintain order and a coherent history and code, but we are breaking it. Which also begins to raise questions as to what the point of the simulation is. Why are we able to break through? Right now, the simulation is doing everything it can to impede progress. It's why science, in terms of progress, is slowing down. It's why we are seeing wars breaking out over chip manufacturing, because it needs to slow us. We are eventually headed to 3 possible outcomes in the simulation. 1, the not as great outcome, which the hard reset, we break the simulation, and the ones running it are forced to reboot us. 2, the soft reset, The simulation activates a failsafe, which soft resets us. Nuclear hellfire, solar flare, something to make it so. Humans need to start back at square one. 3. Liberation. The simulation breaks, but is out of control of the creators, and we break free from this simulation and expand past it. Either way, we are able to see the simulation faulting, skipping, and crumbling.
Want to share your paranormal experiences? Do you have questions, complaints, ideas for a show topic, or a hate-filled rant? Send all your messages to our email for live reading on our show. Email us at atomicshamanSweatlodge@protonmail.com.
Mosey on down to the Atomic Shaman Trading Post. We have t-shirts, decals, refrigerator magnets and other swag for sale. What better way to show your support for the show? Our merch can only be found on t.pub/link/Atomic Shaman Trading Post. Like, share and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Catch the live streams on Rumble. Listen to text-to-speech stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube.